Like that couldn't happen without a pathway and without people looking at that individual student that was saying, look, I can be in class, but my passion is flying. And how do I do it? So we have to do more of that. We have to find everybody's passion. We have to get everybody involved in that pathway, and hopefully people getting successful into their future or the business world or whatever is needed, to then look back at our district and say, you helped us get there, and I want to be a part of that next mentoring piece or that next generation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Joe Fagnant. Joe is the superintendent at Region School Unit 29 in Holton, Maine. Joe, it is so nice to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting, as we know that this is my first podcast, so this will be a great experience for me too, to learn more about your process as we do this.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're pretty relaxed here. We don't get too caught up in ceremony or anything. It's like we just want people to know the amazing things that are happening in education. And as a superintendent, I'm from a little bit that I've learned about you. You guys are doing some really cool stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So RSU 29 is in Holton, Maine, which is at either the end of I-95 or the beginning of I-95, depending on how you look
your direction.
Yeah, we're going to say we're at the beginning.
There you go.
We're located right in the southern corner of Aroostook County, which is the largest county east of the Mississippi.
Oh.
And we are right on the Canadian border. So I could get to Canada in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And we have a great school system with basically 4 towns that feed in, Holton being the largest. We're a service community. So being at the end of I-95 or the beginning of I-95, and we have, a lot of entities here, the county courthouse system, we have border patrol, we have customs, we have a hospital. So we're a small community, about 6,000 people. And our school district is a little bit under 1,200 students. And we're broken up into a couple of buildings. So we have a pre-K through 2 elementary school. We have a 3 through 6 building also. And then we have a 7 through 12 high school. Another job I also have is I'm the executive director of the Southern Aroostook Area Regional Service Center, which makes up all the surrounding communities and our CTE center, which is right next door to us. And so I also oversee an alternative education program and
You're busy.
transportation program and a training program for our anytime we get new people on board or substitutes. So there's a lot going on in the region. And even though we're small, we also know that sharing is also going to be very important, as education is a challenge, budget-wise, finance-wise, political, everything. So we're holding our own here, and looking to see where education is heading, but being very proactive in a few areas that we're excited about too.
Awesome. CTE, just so people know, I'm assuming career and technical education.
Yes, career and technical education. Yep. So
we love our acronyms. I meant to tell you that at the beginning. If there's an acronym that I think our listeners may or may not, a lot of them are educators, so they know already. But there's some that might not. So I always try to make sure that anytime we use our own education ease, right?
Yeah, you got it. So I'm excited. This is my 3rd year as superintendent, but this is my 33rd year in education. So I started actually here in Holton in 1993 as a high school band director. So my background is in music. I did that for 20 years, ended up leaving, going to Massachusetts, ended up coming back, all family related type things. And when we came back, there was no music jobs. So I actually worked for a program called JMG, Jobs for Maine's Graduates, which is part of Jobs for America's Graduates, JAG program, which is a national program. But I did that where I really learned more about education in need, because one of the focuses is looking at very student-centered approach, and then also looking at just students with barriers. How do you help them? And I learned a lot working with JMG. And then I thought I was going to be a high school principal. And I actually ended up being an adult education director. So I did that for 7 years after doing JMG for 2 years. My JMG was right next door in quote our rival, school district
Right,
right next door
right,
in
right.
Hodgson, Maine. But the adult ed director position actually covered Holton and Hodgson, the two towns near us, and also I started spreading out and working with other communities in other towns. As also part of my job, I was the Northern Maine Community College director here in Holton. We had like a satellite campus for Northern Maine Community College. And so I got a chance to work with a lot of people coming in saying, how do I do education? How do I go back to school? Where do I find money?
Mm,
What
hmm.
programs are interested? And it fit really nicely with my work coming out of JMG, but also my work with adult education. Because right at that time, when I started in adult ed in 2016, some of the workforce laws changed, the Workforce Innovation Act. So a big push towards workforce and education, which has been a passion of mine of seeing how we can use education to help that individual walking through the door and then also develop it into a career pathway or something that helps lift them up.
Right,
And
right.
that's a big piece that adult ed does in the state of Maine, and I found it very enjoyable. I even worked in the jail and
Wow.
did testing and programs, and it was a neat aspect to be in education, looking at sometimes when education doesn't meet the needs of a student that leaves school, or when education met the needs, but there was a break somewhere in somebody's world, right? And then
Hmm.
back as a single parent, or they came back after maybe starting college and trying to restart. So that was a lot going on. And then going right into the pandemic, I was asked by my uh, previous superintendent to become director of operations. So we went into the pandemic coming out, and then it was like,
Wow.
yeah, now we got to do education totally different, right? Spacing and classrooms and busing and everything. So I jumped into that and did that for about 3 years, and then ended up transitioned to a different superintendent, and then became kind of a part-time superintendent at the end of my previous superintendent predecessor, and to learn the system, and then became
Oh,
super.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so right at the same time, we are hitting some budget crunches as we are hitting budgets all around. I would say the country, and so we ended up the past 5 years cutting 30 positions
Wow.
in
Oh,
all
my
different
goodness.
areas. So we're well aware of the challenges in education here. We're well aware of trying to work with our communities and work with the state of Maine and looking at the national picture also, and trying to be very efficient, but also being very proactive.
Hmm.
So just last year, we were very excited to start an early childhood special education program. State of Maine was looking at adjusting their model over a 4-year span. And I was a new superintendent, and I had a new special ed director, and we said, why not? And we did it.
Hmm.
And so we ended up jumping into the first cohort. So we were one of 17 schools in the state of Maine to jump into
Uh-huh.
this early childhood program, kind of building it as we were going. We're working really well with the state of Maine Department of Education, and the Child Development Services also, and just different partners that had many meetings and how to do this, how to do that. And we just started. We started with 11 students, and we called it a mixed delivery model. So not only were the students 3 and 4 year olds entering our building to get their services, but some of them were in our pre-K program,
Okay.
which we've had around for quite a long time, over 20 years. But we were also going out to the Head Start programs and daycare, and providing those services for those students right there on site. So that developed a lot of partnerships and growth and connection. We had parents calling us saying, I'm struggling to find a program. I don't know what to do. I know something is happening. I need help. And so we took kids on in the middle of the school year or towards the end of the school year, just because it's really about finding access to education.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
at young age, especially with a student that is either going through the referral process or has been identified, parents are struggling to find out how can I help my child?
Right.
And by opening the doors and really looking at a new way to approach early childhood education, working with partners and agencies and Head Starts. It just connected my staff with multiple organizations and entities. Yeah, we had to shift some of the staff around and find, an early childhood special ed teacher and some ed tech
Mm-hmm.
to go with them. And those were all in-house, and we found great people in-house. Make sure they're, following that early childhood certification for special ed. And it was just amazing. And what we saw was immediate growth within 2 days of a kid entering, because a lot of times there was no access for services, right?
Right.
They were
Right.
struggling. The parents were struggling, trying to get some help in. So I would say the first couple of days we had runners, we had streamers, we had
Oh
just,
yeah, I
it was a
bet. Oh
mix,
my
right?
goodness.
Because it was the
Yeah.
first time they were coming into a setting and education, or they were trying to get into what was really needed for them, whether it was speech or language or some other concepts that we were working with them on. And within a couple of days, we saw major changes. So the
Mm,
whole point we were looking at is we have to work with them earlier.
right.
And we've had a great pre-K program for many years, but knowing that we were seeing several challenges coming out of the pandemic, that growth process of working with them, 3 and 4 year olds, and seeing that immediate response was amazing. So we're in our second year with potentially up to 23. So if you think about it, starting off at 11 and almost, doubling that,
Doubled. Yeah, you've
more
doubled.
referral process, working with more agencies and Head Starts, and we're just fortunate to have the people we have doing the work, and that's what's really about, is just great people. You got to have great people
Right.
to do the
Yeah.
work, and we do here in RC29. So that's the start of our, looking to see if we can take this pyramid approach, right? Taking
Hmm.
this earliest childhood piece to work with them on a consistent basis, getting them the services. We even shifted our speech and language people to younger grades to try to work with them more, and to try to see that if we can go towards the top of the pyramid when they finally enter middle school and high school, and then you're transitioning them off of special education. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the approaches we're doing, and so far we're pretty excited that we're seeing that success story. Really are.
So is it more like a MTSS kind of model, or is it more they've been identified and you're just giving them the services like strategically at just a younger age? We know, I mean, I'm a speech therapist. You and I both
Yep.
know the
Yep.
sooner you get to them
Yep.
and the more services you can give them early, the better off they are, which is obviously the proof is in the pudding there. But just curious about what is the framework for how you're designing it?
Yeah, so before we hit kind of that MDSS model, with the supports, we're really doing that special education model of providing those services. So they're specialized services, for so many
Okay.
hours a week. And at the same time, inclusive classroom
Okay.
experience also. So
Right.
for so many hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
again, based on their IEP. So
Mm-hmm.
we might have a parent that drops off a child for a couple of hours to get their specially designed instruction, to then integrate into the classroom, and then that parent could pick them up. Or
Gotcha.
if they're already in our pre-K program, they've had that success, then we're just seeing that flexible piece of kids going in and out of that classroom, getting the special education. Before it used to have to be, well, we gotta ship them out, or we gotta find it
Right, right.
elsewhere to do that.
Now
So
there's a seamless
it's seamless,
flow.
yeah,
Yeah,
seamless,
nice.
and people
Mhm.
communicating together and just working really together with child development services, and the main DOE. We're just very lucky to have the support network to make this happen.
Wow. What if every student could work with a therapist who brings not just credentials, but years of experience and wisdom to the table? At Lighthouse Therapy, most of our therapists have over 16 years of real world experience. We don't just fill seats. Instead, we find therapists who've seen it all and know how to help. And every new therapist is paired with a mentor to help them guide them every step of the way. Whether through virtual, hybrid, or in-person delivery, your students are getting services that's thoughtful, experienced, and genuinely human. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn more. That's fantastic. The kids will get get the services younger, and hopefully, I mean, in the long run, it's a time saver, and it's a financial saver for the school too, because they're not going to be in special education probably as long as they would have been otherwise.
Yeah,
So,
and we're looking at that, getting to them early. And at the same time, we know early childhood has to change a little bit. We've been so
mm,
focused on the academic side, so we are starting to switch to more of a play-based curriculum and looking
hmm
at what's going on. In fact, we just did some projects, some really cool projects where the students came up with some designs and they created buildings out of cardboard for different community organizations or community groups. And then the community groups came in and did presentations,
oh, fun.
and the students got to know them. Because one of the things we've been working on is also a program called Partners in Education. Which is really starting out of a mentorship program that came out of need. We need to see adults coming in to talk to students more. We need to see businesses talk to students so that they can know that right here in this community, there's opportunities and there's other things happening, and to really answer those questions that curious kids are asking, like, what do you do? What's a
Right,
bank?
right.
What's a banker? What's a movie theater, job like? And so we've been combining this throughout, and hopefully some mentorship. And then eventually for the high school kids, internships and all the way through extended learning opportunities. And at the same time, with our early childhood, there's a lot of need in our community. We're, a high poverty rate area, for kids to understand what's out there, what's available, and
hmm
for them to learn about our community and how supportive they are, and just learn about jobs and activities, and just in a way that gets them to ask questions. And we're really starting that in our young grades, and our teachers have done some professional development and started to work on it, and are just getting excited about seeing how getting play and hands-on back into education when a lot of the focus was testing, right?
hmm
And so
hmm
we're doing some great work with that. At the same time, we're going through kind of a 5-year look at ourselves, right? And we're trying to do an extended version of what we're doing at. But I have a leadership team made up of people from each building, and then this week they're actually presenting to each other their dream schools. And so they've been looking at what does it look like if we're a pre-K through 2 building, or a 3 through 6 building, or a 7 through 12 building. And so this is kind of getting us excited about laying out a presentation to the school board in the spring about everything: our data, our test scores, our student struggles with attendance, like many people are experiencing around
hmm
the
Yeah.
country. What innovations are we putting in? But also, what is our dream school? What do you want to see in education? We're very fortunate to have been going through a process to look at a brand new school in the state of Maine, and we're number 6 on the list to get a new elementary school.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
and creates all sorts of design pieces, right? I mean, into design around your needs. But the state of Maine has only released 2 schools that are going to get built so far. So we're
Oh,
waiting for them to work down the list. And we also applied for a high school combination too with our neighbors next door, MSAD 70, and our Region 2 CTE Center. 7 years ago, we were awarded a project. We were number 2 in the state to receive a school. But then, as you know, consolidation is very challenging with schools because you lose identity and community. And so that project ended up falling apart. But we're
mm,
trying it again, and it might fall apart again. We just don't know. We're working on it to be ready for the second phase of the application. So in this district, I'm not only looking at young children and what they're doing, but I'm also looking at what are we doing with our high school students too.
yeah.
So my work in adult education and workforce development has also brought me to serve on the Southern Rustic Development Corporation board. It's a board of community leaders and business partners around the Southern Rustic area that are constantly looking at growth, right? Bringing in, supporting businesses, supporting industries, supporting a startup entrepreneur. And what was missing at the table was education.
hmm
So I now
Yeah.
serve on the board of that organization, and happily serve with some really strong people that know that we need to talk to kids at many different levels. But we started a new cohort called the Future Professionals of a Rustic, which this came from the business world.
Yeah.
They did some surveys several years ago, and they realized we are not seeing the people we need come out of high school or college. We're not seeing the same skills, the soft skills. And so it really developed into this protocol that we started in 2019, 2020, and we started a cohort, and we were working with eighth graders. That's who they wanted to work with, not juniors.
Right. Right.
You're
They're
almost
too,
too late.
yeah.
Yeah, so we started
Yeah.
working younger, and we identified kids in four kids in three different school districts, so a cohort of 12, to work through this leadership program and work on skills like communication and accountability and work ethic and just these things that the businesses were looking at, but also to expose them to mentoring and
Hmm.
then to expose them to, did you know you could do this job right here?
Hmm.
And you know, it takes either a 4-year education or a 2-year education or a certificate program because students think a 4-year college or 2-year college, and they just were not really understanding what the need is in the community. So we started off, and then of course the pandemic hit, and we stopped, and it was frustrating because we lost connection with kids. But
Right.
then we're restarting again. We started again with another cohort in 2023, and then we just met with our second cohort that we're adding on. And the goal is to follow them through their 10th grade year and support them into the 11th grade year, where you're still needing the help and then making those decisions of life and choices and
Right.
education. But there's a local business person that's your mentor that you had a chance to meet. And there's a group of them together that you did activities with, you did hands-on activities, you did soft skill activities, you went to their businesses. Um, and so all these things are to hopefully design a future education system that leads to something that kids want to do or are
Hmm.
interested in, hopefully keep them in school with a little bit of focus and to say,
Yeah.
wow, I'm really excited about being in school, and to also to have an adult on the outside to say, here's what I had to go through. Here's what I did
Right.
for education. And at the same time, working with the SADC board, I did an activity with them where we did like a SWOT analysis. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats of our area, of our region. What do you see? And some of the same things we're facing in education, they're facing also, right? Finances and
Hmm.
budgets. And then finding people, like finding a
Right.
workforce strong enough for, our businesses, but also strong enough for education, right? Finding people. So we know we're challenged to look for those opportunities. But partnerships is the way we have to. And
Yeah.
at the same time, as I explained to my school board, is if we don't learn how to support these businesses and these businesses go away, our tax base goes away.
Right.
So we have to be hand in hand. We have
And
to
then
know
you
what their
shrink,
needs
right?
are.
Yeah.
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 And work collaboratively. So,
Hmm.
you know, we're doing a lot of work to meet that in my ideal project. So if I was presenting to my leadership team, my project, like they do in their dream school, is a Pathways High School. So that we're working with kids exploring in ninth grade or even earlier, because we're a 7 through 12 building. So seven
Yeah.
to eighth
Oh,
grade.
yeah. You get them earlier, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting them excited about what are opportunities and choices, and then starting to look at what classes fit your model. So if I wanted to go into construction, if I wanted to go into electrical, maybe, we still have a construction trades program right here in the high school. So we still have shop class, believe
Right.
it or not, still in our building.
Yeah. Yep.
And, we do some basic woodworking with our 7th and 8th graders and learning tools. And then we transformed our model to a construction trades program where the high school kids in it get exposed to everything. So they get exposed to electrical and carpentry all the way through to groundwork and all the stuff. Then they can go to the CTE Center, the Career Technical Education Center next door and say, I really like plumbing and heating.
Right.
Really want to do that program. And then we're going to try to connect them to outside businesses for those internships. And at the same time, yeah, we need a trades math, right? We need an English class that's working on documents and forms and letter writing and communication skills because that's a need.
Right.
Uh, and then integrate the technology in there to say, wow, your hands-on business is changing so fast. Let's go visit multiple places, and we've been doing that. We've been visiting places. Kids have been excited about seeing manufacturing in our region. We've got donation from LP, which was Louisiana Pacific. They gave us over $15,000 to
Nice.
invest in this. And so can't do that without partnerships, right? Can't do
Right.
that without
Yeah.
meeting people, greeting people, and getting out into that business world. And so that's that goal at the top also is you got to have a vision for why am I sitting in seventh grade, whatever, or 10th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going with this? And putting it all together to look at our services, our testing, and trying to meet the needs, knowing that budget and finance is going to be our only limitation. We have
Right.
great educators. We in the past have done multiple national conferences with our staff, and became known and worked with Bill Daggett from Model Schools program, and we were a model school presenter at a national conference, and that whole pandemic piece kind
Right.
of stepped on it, and we got to come back out of that, right? We got
Right.
to have that vision. At the same time, I have two new principals. I have a new assistant superintendent. I have new people in the district all the time that you got to take their knowledge and their vision and put it together and start getting excited about education. And people ask me all the time, don't you miss doing music? Absolutely. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
why I got into education. And of course, last week I was asked to sub for sixth grade band, and I did. And
Oh, fun.
it's a good grounding element there, right?
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but that's what it is. I mean, people get into education to maybe teach a certain subject or work with kids. And then you get into leadership to say, how can I institute change or look at a vision and look at all this? So all the way from, the early childhood piece, through the middle grades, very formative years, to now looking at high school and to try to capture that in, a document to present to the school board, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Presentation. Say, here's our 5-year strategic plan. Here's our vision. This is what we like to do. But at the same time, we know the political side is a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a lot of people not come back after the pandemic. We saw a lot of homeschool pieces happening. We had 85 homeschool students in our district, which is a high percentage for just
Yeah.
a couple hundred students.
Yeah, that
That number's
is.
starting to go down. People are coming back, but we had to be proactive, and we started our own online school,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to be involved with that. We're looking at getting kids to think differently. And in our junior year, we started a program called Solutionaries. So it's a state of Maine program where students, it's not only, hey, let's go volunteer to pick up trash. No, let's look at the problem. Let's investigate the problem. Why is there trash in this area?
Right. Yeah.
And then come up with, communication, asking questions, looking at solutions, doing a project, presenting the project, getting feedback, asking adults to come in and talk to you about that. And
Mm-hmm.
they come up with a plan and a project for something in your community that there's a need for, and what's the solution. Um, and so we've been
Sounds almost like um oh, doggone it, Boy Scouts,
yeah,
Eagle Scouts, like an
like
Eagle
Eagle
Scout
Scouts pathway.
like an Eagle Scout
Yeah,
project. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but all our juniors have to do it,
Neat.
and so
Very cool.
that's another aspect of integrating, some hands-on work, uh, working with the community, looking at critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
looking at, wow, some of these kids actually are doing these projects when I got a chance because they want to interview me, right? Because they want to ask those tough questions of,
Right.
so why
Right.
do you do this? And I'm like, well, we
Mm,
do this because of rules and regs and
right.
policy. And then I had those conversations. So why did you pick this topic? Why did you pick this? And what do you want to do in
Mm-hmm.
life? Where do you want to go? And it's sometimes related, one of the
Wow.
students was just looking at, vaping, right, in schools and looking at policies and other things. I said, why do you want to do this? And he said, eventually I wanted to go into nursing. And then so we had a
Oh,
big conversation about, in my past life, helping people go into community college and nursing programs, other things. These are multiple pathways,
right.
and just having conversations with kids about choice in life. So it's been um, kind of a huge shift as we're looking at individualized education. We're looking at really pathways at all different levels, getting the help they need at the youngest level too,
Right.
right? Youngest
Right.
level, hoping a pyramid up to better transitions, and then continuously looking at what does our community need from
Hmm.
educators. We can't have this
And how do you keep them there, right? How do you keep the
yeah.
kids there?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that's the goal too, right? You don't want students
Yeah.
moving out. You want them to stay or at least come back,
Right.
and be that next entrepreneur, next business leader. And we as educators have to start making that connection and really reach out to our community to make sure that we know the needs and they can turn around and say, "Yeah, I'm willing to support you with that budget. I'm willing to
Yeah.
support you with our tax dollars because I know I made a connection to a student in
Hmm.
one of your grades, and I know I came to visit this grade, and your kids were great, and they asked awesome questions, and they were excited, and so I really hope my vision is going to be that partnership piece for the board to see that we can do this, but we can't do this alone. We
Right.
can do this by working together with our other districts in our area. We can do this by reaching out to other professionals, doing our professional development, reaching out to schools that have great vision and great, projects going on, and just trying to lead that way for our own community. Because really, Maine still has that local control, right? I mean, we can do
Yeah.
what we can do, and that local control, I think, to be honest, we have to put on those blinders and say, whatever's happening nationally, whatever's happening federal level, whatever's happening at the state level is we got to put these blinders on and say, what are we doing locally to do the best we can for students? And I
Yeah.
think that's where we're going to have to be and be stronger at it.
Yeah. Within the community and within the industries and within the desires of that community. They are lucky. They are blessed, Joe, to have you, to have your vision. I've just been sitting here listening to you going, man, he has a plan and it starts with the littles and goes all the way to adulthood and those connections with mentoring and the connections with the community. Oh my gosh, I'm like, you're checking all the boxes. You're just amazing.
Yeah,
They are so blessed to have you. They really are.
I appreciate it. And I got a great team, and
Yeah.
that's what it's
It
about.
doesn't happen in a box.
Doesn't
Yeah, I
happen in a
get that.
box, great team, and just a very supportive community. I mean,
Yeah.
here in our region, when someone goes down with an illness, you'll see the community pulling together to raise money.
Yeah.
We've done it too many times, in terms
Unfortunately.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
supporting somebody with cancer or a loss of a loved one, and where the school becomes that place to raise money. The event is at the school, and the students get behind the cause, and that's what it's about. It's caring
Yeah.
community, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
exciting part.
Because that's where we grow up and we live and living and breathing and working and dying and all those things. To quote, what is that? It's a wonderful life.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is a wonderful life, and it is an amazing. And when you can live in a community where you have those things and you have people that get behind what you're doing, because you can have all of these great ideas, but if you don't have people that catch that vision, it's really hard. And sometimes you feel like you're more like Don Quixote going against the windmill, right?
yep. There we
Yeah.
go.
So having that, it's incredible, and it sounds like wow. I'm so impressed with you and what you're doing. I'm sure our listeners will be. So, Joel, where do people go to pick your brain, to
Sure.
talk, to see the amazing things that you guys are doing?
Yeah. So anytime, if you visit rsu29.org, that's our website. And you can reach out to me at any point in time, either connecting through that request, or search me out through email, or if I can give you my email and you can post it. I don't mind people reaching out because that's the way I learned how to become a better music teacher back in the day, right? You
Yeah.
find the people, and you got to do that. And I've reached out to superintendents and other leaders to say, hey, this is my idea, or this is what we're trying to do. How did you do it?
Hmm.
And we're just doing a lot of different things that hopefully affect different grade levels,
Yeah.
and in our even our 3 through 6 grade level, we're starting to develop. Can we do yeah, project based? And can we do the hands-on outdoor learning? Because we have access to 4 seasons here,
Yeah.
even though it's only 15 degrees today, or it was a high of whatever. In January sometimes it gets 30 below, but we have snow, we have
Oh,
mountains
oh.
close by, we have trail systems, we have a great fall, great spring, great summers, and
Yeah.
that's the other thing too is there is still community here.
Hmm.
There's still a caring community. And our motto, or our word that we developed a couple of years ago with our leadership team was RC29 CARES. And CARES stands for communication, accountability, respect, excellence, and service. And so
Nice.
those are our guiding words that we try to incorporate into a lot of our everyday life, and discussions with kids and parents and in our community. So we're really just starting to expand on that. We're really starting to grow. Again, a great team. I hope to be here for till whenever I can be.
Right, right, right.
It's one of those things that I
We
took.
got 10 more years, Joe. We got
Yeah,
10 more years. I think
hopefully,
between
hopefully
we're
that's that.
close. Yeah, you and
Yeah,
I started in 94. So I was
yeah.
right there about when you were. And I'm like, I got at least 10 more years in me,
Yeah,
at
and that's what I
least
keep
10 more years.
saying, and it's funny because my business manager is in that same path, and my director of student services is the same path. We're all like same age, and like we got 10 years, and I'm like, really, I probably end up having 15,
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the reason why I took on the superintendency role is I saw patterns of, a lot of districts went through change of leadership, right? People come in,
Hmm.
and, I spent, 28 years in this district, in other roles, and what did I want to continue to do?
Hmm.
And the leadership was important. I have kids in the district. My wife teaches in the district. And what do we want to do? Where do we want to head education? And if this community doesn't get our support and we don't get theirs, then it's a crumbling community, right?
Right.
That's what happens.
Yeah. It's
And
a
so we,
cornerstone. Education
yeah,
is a cornerstone of
it is,
any
and we
community.
gotta keep
Yeah.
getting that word out, and I'm so thankful that you continuously look for that, right?
Yeah.
Because we need more of that positive
Hmm.
out there. Not every student is gonna be able to get to a private school or get to a specialized, school in the future. That just not. And so
Hmm.
public education has to be the pathway to get kids exposed to whatever they wanna do, and even if
Right.
it's kids, building something to understand what their community is about, to a senior that graduated last year that is already was getting his pilot's license at the same time going to high school, is
Neat.
at a school right now, just got his instructor license. Like that couldn't happen
Yeah.
without a pathway and without people looking at that individual student that was saying, look, I can be in class, but my passion is flying. And
Right.
how do I do it? So
Yeah.
we have to do more of that. We have to find
Hmm.
everybody's passion. We have to get everybody involved in that pathway, and hopefully people getting successful into their future or the business world or whatever is needed, to then look back at our district and say, you helped us get there. And I want to be a part of that next mentoring piece or that next
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah. Wow, what a great conversation. You are an inspiration, and
Oh, thank you so much.
it has been a joy. Wow, to just hear all of the things what you guys are doing, where you're going. I love Maine. It's beautiful. We have one of my really good friends who works for Lighthouse is in Maine, and I've been to Maine, and it just I not in the winter. I don't like the winter. I lived in Michigan for 19 years, and now I'm in South Texas, and
There you go.
we're going back up to Michigan for a couple of weeks in January. My best friend's husband is turning 50, so we're going up there for his
Oh,
birthday, and
good. Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
gonna be
looking
cold.
forward to the cold again. No, it's chilly here. I mean, and it's for those of you that are listening, it is December 16th, 2025. So we're just on the cusp, 9 days from Christmas Day,
Yeah.
and it's the middle of winter. We know that, but yeah, my blood has thinned. I know it has, and I'm like crocheting hats and getting scarves and buying sweaters, getting ready to go up there because we're going to be up there for 2 weeks, and it's just going to be cold. I love the beauty of winter. I do not like the cold. I've never been a
Yeah.
person that likes the cold. So
Well, it's one of those
Yeah.
things, especially in northern Maine, you gotta get used
Yeah.
to, but we also have great access to trail systems and snow sled
Yeah.
trail systems like Michigan does too,
Yeah.
and just we're lucky with the 4 seasons that, people don't get to experience,
Yeah.
and, we're very fortunate to have lakes in our area where, the beauty of the summer, but also the winter also looks beautiful too, and we
Yeah.
do have snow on the ground, fortunately with rain on the way, but, it is, beautiful, and the northern lights that happen and,
Mhm.
just small town celebrations. I mean,
Yeah.
look up Houlton, Maine. Look at the downtown, the architecture, the unique structures, all the businesses downtown, and it's just, the light parade that happens, the lighting of the tree with Santa just
Yeah.
happened a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's small town, and I didn't not from here originally, from, Rhode Island originally, and this was my first teaching job here in Houlton, Maine.
Wow.
And, just because of life change, I left but came back, um, and, this is where, of course, raising my kids, and just being part of a community that has always supported education and has always
Yeah.
supported families and those in need. And the only thing that's holding us back is that financial burden,
Yeah.
that we're all experiencing, and can our tax base continue? And a couple of years ago, there was some major cuts, and people came in and said, "No, we're gonna vote to support not cutting more." And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're to the point of we've cut a lot and what's left, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So we're super excited to know that the supportive community is still here. The
Yeah.
supportive business is still here. It's just how do we get through those tough times and tough decisions?
Yeah.
And I think what you have to look at is you got to focus on kids. You got to focus on that future, and if you do, they will pay off and become those community
Yeah.
members of the future.
Yeah, the kids
So,
are gonna remember what you did, and they're gonna be the community members that are gonna be the ones that are earning the money and wanna put back into people put back into that which supported them as they grow. I know I certainly do as an adult support those things that helped me to become who I am, they really do. So well, I we've been talking for 40 minutes, believe it or not, Joe.
no,
I think we broke the record for the longest podcast I've
there we
done.
go.
So,
No,
yay, right?
uh, and
So,
I appreciate the time. I appreciate
yeah,
reaching out, and
absolutely.
maybe in another time you'll reach out again, and it might be, hey, this is what actually happened.
Yeah,
These are
absolutely.
the things we put in place. I really appreciate
Awesome.
the time.
You bet. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for being on Brighter Together. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for what you're doing for all of those kids because you're making the world a better place for every single program, every single child. It's inspirational, and I'm glad that you were willing to come on and tell your story.
Thank you so much.